But there's so much to tell you, and I know we're going to try and squeeze it. We're actually doing an hour tonight. We're going to try and squeeze it. Pieter we don't want to use up all his voice, because another surprise that we've got for you all is that Pieter is going to be doing a couple of drives this weekend, actually more than a couple. Pieter's going to be doing some drives tomorrow, both morning and PM, and hopefully on Sunday morning as well. And weather permitting, yes.
It's kind of heat sort of
it is. I mean, look at the insects around the light.
Yeah, something's afoot,
yeah. But there's been so much happening. Oh, also, just before I carry on, if any of you have any questions, I've got an earpiece, so we're going to have Craig send us some questions in a little bit later, if we have time. If I don't talk too much, because I'm going to try and do most of the talking. I've got so much to tell Pieter because he's been away, and there's been so much happening here in the last 8 months with the cats, with elephants, and all sorts of things. So, gee, I don't know where to begin.
You know what, something I was thinking just now is that I suddenly felt a little bit shy again sitting here. I don't know if you realize, but I used to really talk a lot with people, and I guess it's a little bit being out of practice, which I really am looking forward to jumping in the driver's seat tomorrow and then looking around it.
No, it's riding a bicycle.
It's one of my favorite things. You know, I've said it many times. I'll say it many times again. Is there's few things, if any, that beats, for me at least, you know, being in a nice 4x4 and looking around the bush and looking for things and finding whatever it is. You know, hopefully there's a bit of leopard and elephant in there somewhere tomorrow, but it's one of my favorite things, and certainly to do it in the way that I have done, and the way things are done now with 3D coming in and everything. I was with Craig today in the final control room, on and off, having a look. So I'm very excited, I must just say that, and I promise you I'll be less shy tomorrow.
Yeah.
I won't be, you know, I'll be contacting much more with you, and I guess partly also it's just that many of you are sitting there at the moment maybe thinking, you know, who is this guy?
And I think there are a lot of people there.
And over the last months, and I maybe just want to mention this now, actually, we now live in a place where we used to have a lot of internet, as you do here in the bush of all places. We now live in a place where we hardly have any. We've got basic rudimentary internet via satellite link. It comes and goes. It's sometimes a bit better than others. It's never big enough to really play around with pictures and video. That light is going up and down, huh? So
no, it's not your imagination.
Every now and again I'm like, oh, something is. So we've sort of dropped off the edge of the world, so to speak, in terms of where we communicate. And it's not because we don't want to or not going to. By next year sometime we are going to change a few things with what we do and where we are, so then we should be back into normal sort of communication. But we are living, after all, in the sort of outskirts of Africa at the moment, much more so even than you.
Very remote. Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that. So for those of you that don't know anything or what's going on here, it's nice to be here. I look forward tremendously to going on drives tomorrow. And for those of you that of course have known me, and I've known many of you for a long time, it really is a pleasure to be able to sit around the fire and say, how's it? It's nice to have Mark here that I've known for a long time now, and everyone, Sue and Sebastian and Alex and so on. But you know, I'm really looking forward to the drives tomorrow.
And the timing is perfect. After just having these rains, the puddles are filled up. There's green. There's life just bursting.
Yeah, it's just sort of on that sort of, you know, it's like the, you know, on your marks, get set. You know, and we're on that go section of the season. It's always been a very exciting time for me. Is that change of the season? It literally happened in the last week. So
it has. And I mean, we've only just, what was it? I think it was today. This morning we saw our first impala lamb.
Oh, is it?
Nice. They have been seen. 11, 12.
Remember the impala last year? First impala was a big thing last year.
It was Lishan who guessed the second last year. But I think they were seen already on the 4th, and they've been seen consistently since. Some have been seen consistently, but for us it was catching it on camera for the first time, and this morning it was for the first time Patrick got it, and I think it was John Autry, Big John, who predicted the 12th. So well good on you, John, for doing that. Of course, the kingfishers are around as well. We haven't caught any of them on camera. We've been hearing them at the dam.
Okay, so it literally is that sort of
everything's just happening.
First bit of it. And maybe just again to some things that we spoke about earlier, Mark, as well, and then just to mention now is the next 3 days. It is very short. I'd love to be able to here for a week or two, and hopefully with Lishan. She's in Namibia at the moment. It was a very last minute trip that I did, and it ended up in being able to come here as well. So hopefully we can do a longer one somewhere in the not too distant future. But for the next 3 days, I really do want to just, you know, catch up with everything that's been going on and really get into the wildlife. So for those questions that Mark mentioned, we'll do a few at the end, and I'll answer them as best I can. But on the drives, I just want to sort of ask, if I may, that you know, we're not going to be talking too much about Namibia and everything that is a very exciting part of my life at the moment. But the next few days, I want to get as much wildlife stuff in, and then obviously I'll be a little bit, what's the word there?
Give it a little bit of leeway.
Yeah, I actually mean I'll be a little bit partial, I guess, to looking for leopard.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Just because we are after all in maybe what is, if not the best, but at least one of the best leopard viewing areas in the world. So I'm going to be looking for those a bit.
Okay.
And so I just want to mention that. So we'll talk about it tonight as much and as far as we can.
Okay.
And then it's going to be wildlife the next 2.5 or 1.5 days.
Yeah. So what's it like being married?
It's awesome, huh?
Yeah, well, you've got such a fantastic woman.
I mean, she's a woman, so I don't understand her most of the time, as I'm sure that she feels about me. But no, it's awesome. I mean, I'm very lucky. Not to get too personal for those of you that that don't know me or any of the story, but it's a very long and for me, obviously, but even if I think of it objectively, a beautiful love story with Leishan, my wife, and so I'm very happy about that. We have our days. We live together like we did here in constant togetherness. We're now working with a whole bunch of staff, which as individuals are all awesome. We mainly have Wambu people, or Oshibambu people, which is the majority tribe in Namibia, in the north. But we also have a bit of Damara and Bushmen. Actually, we've got a couple of proper Bushmen working on the farm. Fantastic, Hendrik and them. So the staff are great, but as a collective whole, sometimes people on their own and as a group is a different thing. So that's all part of the challenge for us. But to be married is absolutely awesome.
You get time on your own. You get time to go out there and do your photography.
Not as much as we'd like. I mean, less so in a way than here even, because it's very much long story. I'm not going to go into that too much, but it's very much sort of management at the moment. But there's a bunch of things that we wanted to do, and we're getting those done. And then towards early next year there'll be a few changes that we want to change and want to do, and that'll give us more of that time. And that'll involve basically just being more mobile in Namibia, more mobile in Africa, and who knows what else. But in short, marriage is awesome. I've said Rory's getting married.
Rory's getting married?
Yeah, Rory's getting married to a lovely girl, Afrikaans girl. We've done a couple of trips. They spent 3.5 months in Namibia earlier this year. And then we did a trip now again just a few days back, 2-3 weeks ago. So we're going to go down for that wedding. That's early in January. It's going to be fantastic. And not that we planned, but obviously Rory and I sort of hoped for a bit. But Leishan and Lana have turned into great friends. I mean, Leishan's her bridesmaid.
That's fantastic.
So that's quite cool. So we'll be getting up to some adventures together as well. So there's a lot of exciting things happening. And if you have the right person, I can certainly recommend getting married to him or her, depending on where you're sitting.
Okay. Marriage is not my favourite subject at the moment. As Suzanne knows. But also, I need to fill you in. You're talking about leopards and wanting to look for leopards. So let me fill you in a little bit. Another great thing that has been discovered recently is Tingana has got 2 youngsters.
Actually, I heard something about that briefly somewhere. Whereabouts, or do you get?
Well, she's actually been. There's that transformer on Triple M, just west of the junction of Gowrie May, and that small drainage. She's actually been seen there coming into Western Gowrie just briefly, but unfortunately we can't get there.
And is she still, like a name says, a bit shy, or is she?
I haven't seen her. I don't think I've seen her since last year sometime. I saw more of Saseka. And even then we haven't seen that much of Saseka. Saseka was seen mating with, was it Mvula, if I'm not mistaken?
I believe Fanot was telling me today Mvula is around more often.
He is. I had never seen him before, and lately we've seen, there we go, just brightened up
just to sort of keep things a little bit, surprise.
Single phase electricity.
One of my favourite leopard pictures was of Mvula, that one where he's looking up and the water drops are falling.
Oh yeah.
So
he's a magnificent leopard.
Oh, he's stunning. His eyes actually. He's got them. You could actually get to know him just from his eyes.
His eyes, yeah. And Mafufunyan's been around. Yambilo Jordan has been around. The one thing that we've been seeing as well. We saw it a few times when you were here. Yambilo Jordan with Karula and the boys. There was a time once when Saseka was even around with the kill. Yeah. And we actually had just up here on Vuyatela Access Road, Induna and Yambilo Jordan together.
And
they were together. They were like walking off together. But coming back to cats, and let's just branch off a little bit from the leopards. I don't know if you heard, at the same time that Whitecloth was killed, she was killed by one of the big males. What was his name?
Leopard males.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. It'll probably come to me which male he was. Maybe an email will come through and I'll remember. But there were 2 cubs from another leopard, and there's so much in my head at the moment. I'm trying to remember names, but there were 2 youngsters from Ntima. No, or could have been Ntima. We saw Ntima here as well. Ntima walking with Yambilu Jordan from Treehouse Dam, crossing over onto Triple M, followed them. That was amazing because she was displaying to him, but he wasn't interested because he was betrothed to Karula.
Yeah.
He had already mated with Karula, and they were just walking together. But there were there were 2 leopard cubs killed that week, but also there were a bunch of lion killed that week. Now, when you were here,
the pork was still around, or?
Yeah, well, this is the big thing. Did you ever hear of the Majinga lions?
There was 7 or something.
They came down to 5.
I saw them twice briefly.
Okay.
So you never got to really see them much. They were sort of youngish males.
They were. Now
they were sort of in there, getting ready for prime stage.
I can remember the sequence of events. We had the Majinga lions on Twin Dams. I think Tara was here on her tryout drive, or she had just started. I was on camera with Tara, and we saw the 5 of them at Twin Dams, and they were cruising around right here under the noses of the Mapofos. And there was one night up on Onkoro that they were calling, and Kinky Tail and Mr. T heard them and came in, and there was a fight that night, and they killed one of them. And the next morning, the 4 remaining Majinga lions caught up with Mr. T and Kinky Tail and beat them. I was going to say something, but beat them quite badly, and actually killed Kinky Tail. They killed and ate Kinky Tail. Mr. T was, I don't know, somebody's going to have to help me out here when that was, but that week was bad for lion because there was a stick sprout.
Recently, a while, I remember a while back, just
3 or 4 months ago.
As we were leaving, there was also something getting killed by Chitwa.
There was a stick sprout female killed down on Marla's boundary or something. There were about 6 cats killed within a space of a week, and one of them was a Majinga lion male, and one of them was Mr. T.
Yeah.
And it was witnessed. Ryan from Arethusa witnessed it, and the footage that was shown was seen was actually quite graphic and pretty harsh.
I think that's one of the everything from the harsh to the happy kind of thing, but it's one of the things that truly is so amazing about this area is, and that's why I'm excited to be back here.
Yeah.
But is that because of the presence of people the whole time, whether it's guides or you guys even more so because you've got people and friends and viewers and enthusiasts from around the world, is that you really get to see so much. It's one thing to drive around for a few days or a week or even look at a documentary that's shot over 6 months, but to have the history now. Earlier we were talking about Tingana and Saseka. For those that don't know, I still remember them very well. They were Karula's first litter, 2 girls that she raised successfully. Then she had Nduna and Misho, 2 boys, raised them successfulully. So if her track record's anything to go by, she's going to have whichever she has now, maybe a boy and a girl, which will be nice, but she should raise the next cub successfully if there isn't some accident along the way. Is that you get to know these generations and then their cubs and who they mate with, and the lions and who kills who and who mates with who and that's just the collective understanding now of everything really. But let's say the cats here.
But it's also it's writing new data into the behavioural books, having leopards feeding together, we had lion prides feeding together on a buffalo kill with an injured male coming in, and I can't even remember all of the details. As I said, there's so much that I'm trying to remember out of so many incidents that have happened that are marked incidents. The Majinga lions have been around a lot.
That breeze just come up.
Yeah.
But as we have said, it's really hot here, and it's felt nice.
On the back, it is nice. The ghosts of black cats past.
Yeah.
The Majingas have been around killing a few buffalo.
Yeah.
The Kahumas, the Kahumas the pride is reduced. The sticks, the pride is looking pretty bad. There was one time we found them up on Sandy Patch, and there was the very young female, who is now, I think we must assume that she's gone. Looked like she was riddled with mange and injured badly. The young male has fortunately recovered. We've actually saw him the last time we saw him nicely was at Buffelshoek Dam on his own, eyeing out a herd of buffalo, and he looked like he'd recovered quite nicely.